Now it's LFM's choice. They lost the last game. They get first pick or map pick.
I think Sky Temple, just a bit too risky.
They pick first pick. Simplicity's picking the map. Sometimes Simplicity slows things down every once in a while, but we've got it. We're ready. We're going to Tomb the Spider Queen.
For Simplicity, they love first pick, but I feel they always function better as second pick.
Okay.
Tomb of the Spider Queen is very mage-centric. We've seen Chromie already for Simplicity. Li Ming, Gul'dan. Again, the Gul'dan I think needs to take a step back. Jaina, I think a little bit higher priority on this battleground. So I think that we're going to see that Figgy's going to get something that he's definitely strong with.
Yeah.
But if LFM's not picking Johanna and they continue to shy away from it, can you protect the back line well enough?
LFM's going to be first pick, so it would seem like they're going to be more likely to get Murden, unless Simplicity picks it. I don't think the LFM will first pick it, right? They'll pick it in the 2-3, so if Simplicity picks it 1-2, if Murden is that high of emphasis between these two teams, and I feel like between these Warriors, it is very likely that Fury and CAF have gotten to the point where they may want to try to pick that very early on.
Where does Yrel fall, though? Because both Equinox and Zuna have done very well with Yrel. And Simplicity now being second pick, I would say LFM might first pick Yrel here.
Yeah, I think so too. In which case, that's when I think Simplicity may just take Murden away. But having 3 picks, it's possible that then if Fury doesn't want to play Johanna, then he can get Diablo there if that's second favorite for him. Tomb the Spider Queen, though, the last time we saw Simplicity play on this map, it was versus Tempo Storm, and they did the curious solo lane choke strategy versus Glaurung. That didn't work, but they played Yrel Blaze.
Man, okay. Hear me out. And I would not say this if it wasn't for Korea. And now Alex Stronza Lifebinder seems to be pretty good. And Korea's played a certain heroes twice now. It's actually right there.
I hope Leoric is who you're pointing at, because if you're pointing at Cho'Gall,
I blame
get off my desk, sir.
Look, if Korea look, it wasn't necessarily the top 2 or 3 teams that were playing it, but Cho'Gall's shown up a couple of times now. And Lifebinder, Tomb of the Spider Queen's pretty good Cho'Gall map. Just saying. LFM is a team that is no stranger to a Cho'Gall.
Previous LFM.
Long time.
Not a Fury LFM.
There was once a time that me and Fury played Cho'Gall together. I let him be the Cho since he's, you know, the tank pro. It seemed strong in our random quick match game.
You were Fear J-How?
No, it was like it was LFM because it was after he got picked up by LFM.
Oh,
so
LFM
LFM J-How. Yeah, I tweeted a picture about it. It was when I made my announcement, you know, that I would be a Gall main.
You know who has the greatest Gall name?
T. SS Hosty?
T. I'm strictly the Gall portion. Whose name is just so good at being added on to a plethora of names. So many. Weed. This one right here. Just saying, all you out there, if you want a Cho'Gall duo partner.
Are you a good Gall? You know, Cho'Gall is a ranged hero.
You sit there and you spam stuff.
For anybody that's out there, Cho'Gall is a ranged hero.
Yrel and then Murden Genji. All things that we had talked about, now we are caught up. Let us continue our analysis in a Cho'Gall-free zone that is this desk.
Well, the Johanna ban, Simplicity seems to have anticipated either Yrel would be picked up in that first pick, allowing them to grab Murden. They've executed this part of the draft well in their favor. So the Johanna ban trying to choke Diablo still available. If that comes in, instead we're going to prioritize Jaina for Figgy in the early part. Does pair well with the Malfurion. with the Innervate.
I like the Jaina better because Diablo and Garrosh are still up for LFM. If they, one of those two should be Fury being able to do what he would like. Even Stitches, we've seen a couple of Fury Stitches games. I know it's less, that hasn't been as favorable for LFM because it's less we get in your face and we get the kills. It's more bring the kills to you, but they have Malfurion and Jaina already, some great follow-up there.
So Hanzo being taken away. We've seen the Genji already, but it was on Dragonshire in a mixed bag, not on the Genji side, but on the team execution side. Chromie, this is more of your Genji Chromie battleground. Dragonshire and Tomb operate as the two battlegrounds that we would see Genji Chromie the most. And if you can Dwarf Toss in, isolate a target with a Stormbolt, have Genji Swift Strike in and a Chromie Bomb, it is lights out for any hero on that side.
I almost wonder if they considered a Chromie ban, given that they had already picked Urel, so there is no Blaze possibility, but instead the Junkrat was enough for LFM to warrant and say that that was okay for a host to get banned, and Riptire can be a nice setup for a Genji kill.
Any team outside of Fnatic with Mene, do we now, if more and more assassins get banned and we find ourselves on Tomb, is there any chance that Kael'thas makes his way into North America? Because Mene is the only person I think in the world right now that would play it, but with triple ban.
I wondered the same about him because we seem like we are in quite the either super sustain or chain CC is what our teams like, and Kael'thas would fit very well, but not yet. It seems there's still enough ranged assassins that there's enough options. Garrosh will be the choice over Diablo even for Fury, and they also have Phoenix too. Phoenix plus Jaina. There's a lot of slows for that Purification Salvo.
We need some wave clear. Deckard offers some Blaze in the solo lane, but the follow-up damage will be the Chromie. The hard part for me in the Genji Chromie compositions, outside of with a Johanna, if you jump in with the Muradin, you get the Stormbolt, you get the Swift Strike, you get the Chromie Bomb, the kill is there. It's everything outside of that. Is that where does your wave clear come from? Because Deckard does have marginal wave clear. Muradin, not so much. Chromie has to prioritize a lot of her damage towards the wave. And so obviously throwing out your Q is going to net whatever, and you get your Bronze Talons. It's a matter of where you put your Dragon's Breath. And if your Dragon's Breath, since it's on such a long cooldown, has to be prioritized on minions and you've got to double rotate, then the kill potential is a little bit tougher to come by, else you start to lose out on the wave clear race.
Well, I think her level 5 will give us a very good indication of what they're feeling like this Chromie's role is going to fulfill. If it's Mobius Loop, then they're trying to make sure that she can wave clear. If it's Dragon's Eye, then it's way more about kills, get the kills, and then after you get the kills, you can clear out the waves as you're turning in to get the wave clear there and have your web weavers pushing. But what she does do is she gives vision with this Time Walker's Pursuit. She has very good safe poke to stall out turn-ins, and that's why we see her on Tomb the Spider Queen so much. She offers a lot, and she's great counter siege, and when she does inevitably have opponents sieging against her with web weavers, it's a good time to stack up your quest.
Slowing Sands does really well to defend one lane, and then Dragon's Eye at level 5. So there are some definite positive sides. We're trying to bring that in.
Should be a Slowing Sands too.
Yeah.
Especially because there's Garrosh then to the fur on the other side.
Well, Chromie also likes going against the Garrosh. Garrosh lacks basically any and all mobility. And as a prime target to stack your baseline quest on.
Slows also are not super fun to play against for a Garrosh. That's why I feel like Fury's play last year when Garrosh first came in, we saw him played with Lucio, with June, so that you could help reposition Fury and get him into a better place.
Got to get it moving. Rotation up. Phoenix Jaina, insane amount of wave clear. A lot of kill potential for Jaina if we get the toss back into the roots. right now, Equinox is already prioritized rotating from that. There's going to be the knockback, I believe.
But
I mean, knock me right back into where I want to be. I honestly thought that that was a dangerous spot for Equinox, and they're like, but what if we just dive it?
And a fantastic rotation from Zuna to enable that too, because he came in with a jet propulsion, which he's gonna use again. And only a groundbreaker to stun will slow this down, but eventually Equinox gets taken out. Double kill in this early game for Simplicity.
You could say that he was hot on his heels there.
Yes, you could.
So it nipped him in the bud.
Is that it?
That's not exactly.
Butt.
Yeah,
it's
you know, no, nip him in the bud is a little bit different.
What if someone plays Rhaegar against Buds? Can you say nipped him in the buds?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We'll continue to evolve that. Yesterday, one of our beloved Blizzard employees apparently first heard the term stick in the mud recently.
Which I have heard that so much. I think it's a Midwestism. I'm from Kansas.
Midwestism.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can approve of that. Kentucky is considered a southern state as King Caffeine, lucky to get away alive. There's Zuna, maybe not so much. Nice roots put down there.
Equinox came back in with a vengeance, as well as the aware roots. They are doing work with this bruiser camp in the mid too, taking out the front wall.
If you ever wondered why I don't really like Chromie Genji compositions, you're looking at it, because how do you defend against that? I mean, until you get level 5 as Chromie, your single target damage to clear a lot of that. Yes, your Dragon's Breath does a lot of damage, but it's very slow cooldowns.
Well, 5's almost here for Simplicity, and we can see the route that Hosty wants to take. Is it Mobius or Dragon's Eye? It's Dragon's Eye. I know J-How is extremely happy about this, but that keeps the long cooldown. So now every Dragon's Breath counts for the communication. Staying up in top lane, you'll be hard at work trying to keep that clear. Jet Propulsion, Equinox lockdown for days with that Decker Cane too, though he lives far longer than I thought he would. Eventually, he will fall, and it's a good old-fashioned bloodbath on Tomb of the Spider Queen, fighting all over the map.
I mean, you could say that they are prioritizing the kill on that bot lane, the heavy rotation of the Murd and follow-up, leaving Chromie to do that double lane soaking.
I thought you were going to say they're being sticks in the mud about fighting.
No.
Did I use it right? Is that?
We'll work on it.
All right.
Right now, K1 Pro continuing to put out a little bit of damage, and Simplicity sitting 7 gems short of that turn-in, conveniently enough. K1 Pro holding on to those. But LFM, they're going to continue to try and defend. These early Webweaver pushes for Simplicity, LFM has just a tremendous amount of clear between the Phoenix and the Jaina.
They do.
And the sieging potential.
Ooh. Not if we lose the Jaina, though. Fury brings King Caffeine back to the fight. K1 Pro dives deep, gets the kill, takes out Jaina, and is out of there. Love seeing K1 Pro pick up Genji. He said that it's given him a lot of motivation on his new role to play these new heroes that he's had to pick up since the last time that he was ranged, because he was playing support and then before that some melee, so for him to be able to pick up heroes like Genji has been a lot of fun. And there gets the kill, and with that the first Webweaver phase to kick off Tomb of the Spider Queen for Simplicity.
See how much early sieging they can get done. If Simplicity can pick up 8 pretty quickly, they can potentially zone out a lane with those slowing sands, just zone out a lot of that range. It's kind of like if you have Stukov. You put down that lurking arm and you just dare anybody to kind of walk through it.
Oh, temporal.
Wow, okay.
All right, so when someone gets hit by that, Fury needs to be right there in range. It's going to be an easy one.
Oh, yeah.
Into the fray.
Into the fray, yeah. If you into the fray right as that goes off, you don't get looped.
Unstoppable while in the air. The important thing to mention, but you also have the armor after the fact. With these Webweavers, Simplicity has amassed a level lead. They were in mid for a bit, not getting the kill on Temporal. They'll go up to escort the rest of the Webweaver in the top lane. Just doing what they can to try to bring down, if nothing else, take out this well. Just do whatever structural damage they can to set themselves up for success over the next couple minutes. Gank in the bottom lane, though.
I will say for Zuna, given his change back to melee, his avoidance towards getting ganked, yeah, it's a little bit easier with Blaze and Yrel in the meta right now, but he's done a very good job.
Oh yeah, I think he's one of the most improved players that we've seen.
There's a lot to be said about his play that has definitely looked improved between phases.
Well, Temporal is back up, and Simplicity may have another go at it, given the fact that they are closer to heroic abilities and only 11 gems away from being able to get a turn-in with this. If Simplicity can get a double turn-in with heroic abilities, that would be a chance for them to try to snowball, take out a lot of these forts, and look to get a massive experience lead and structural lead over LFM to take us possibly into Game 5.
The hard part for Jaina is the engagements have been extremely limited. Malfurion gets Ice Block at 13. Jaina gets Ice Block after she finishes her baseline quest. Unfortunately, Figgy only sitting on just about 1,200 damage, and you have to have 15,000 damage done to chilled targets. So it is a long ways away. It is easier, obviously, the later the game goes on, the more damage you do to achieve that.
Well, he's also died a couple of times. We saw K1 get the one dive there, and that really sets back stacking whenever that happens to a player. LFM hoping for the turn-in. Simplicity did not get it with heroic advantage, and now LFM gets heroic abilities. They just still have a ways to go before they can actually get the turn-in. Taunt, Ring of Frost, follow up, but he makes it into the bunker. Planet Cracker's gonna cut through that, but Figgy goes down.
Figgy got cut through with X Strike, and Indomitable's gonna keep Fury out of danger for now. Temporal Loop is there. That brings him right back in.
Wow.
Swift Strike directly on top of that. Fury surviving, but not for long. Stormbolt's just gonna miss onto Equinox. And the follow-up and communication for Simplicity,
especially the jet propulsion.
It's looking on point right now.
That was perfectly done. And they're rewarded with another Webweaver phase. And this is the point to start taking down some of those structures. All heroic abilities are down for a while, and that may be something that LFM can abuse, but LFM has used a ton of that too, so it's up to Simplicity to try to get these lanes pushed out ahead of these Webweavers so that they, in multiple lanes at once, can have a siege somewhere and they can try to take advantage of that.
I think they're just going to continue the aggression from Murd and King Caffeine. He's playing around Fog. The minute they establish vision, he's just going to look to jump onto a target. He's not even dismounting. Finally, he's just trying to dare anybody to get in range. K1 Pro, his positioning at max range on this, he's looking to nail his level 4. Sometimes you would say, hey, be a little bit further up, try and get that, but it's a clear rotation, and Yrel, if they can get these minions pushed forward, that's why you see Equinox, he's peppering one, they just need to get the minions. Equinox does have his jump available there, it's on the other side, nice knockback. King Caffeine now, he's the one, he's actually gonna get interrupted. Avatar goes out, the taunt as well.
The Cracker, the Ring, everything used, but it's not enough. Stay a while and listen, but Genji and Murden are already dead, and Equinox can jump out now. This is a tricky spot for the disengage. Zuna has to use the bunker to soak up the shots, but Hosty will get thrown back in. This is a Chromie who's gonna buy some time for her team using the Temporal, using that bunker, but eventually knew that he would go down. And the first iteration of the stun lock there did work for Simplicity, but this time LFM fires back.
The gank onto Yrel, who has Ardent Defender, is a bit surprising to me. That's a much easier dive to make when you have Webweaver still pushing, but if you're just your minions, the bunker actually saved them from a potential team wipe, because the bunker gets priority targets onto or from that fort. And had that not gone down, multiple more members could have fallen, but more importantly, Blaze made it out of there. I think Hosty was only sitting on 4 gems. Blaze, however, was sitting on about 21. So a lot more important to hold on to those.
But you can see what LFM is trying to do. If the Ring of Frost gets set up and the bunker drops down, they're trying to use that Planet Cracker to burn through the bunker so that they still get the burst damage out of that Ring of Frost and the Warlord's challenge. Feels like it's going to be a race to see if that bunker can save through these huge heroic abilities that LFM have, and with Planet Cracker coming back in a few seconds, they're going to have another go of it very soon.
sitting on quite a few gems. Phoenix holding on to 49 of those. So if they can get the back-to-back turn in, get some structure damage in, looks like they'll be able to complete the bottom. If they get the rotation in, which they are. See if Simplicity tries to maybe flank this. I think they're going to have to concede this, clear up the rest of the lanes, buy a little bit more real estate here before they look to re-engage. They are still ahead. Is Simplicity and experience?
He's already used the taunt. They're going to fully engage into this. Planet Cracker 2. This time, Zuna hasn't used a bunker yet. Fury sustained some damage, separated it out from the rest. Great ice block from the Aware to stop that jet propulsion. And now bunker goes down. K1 Pro harassing the back. The Aware stays alive, dodging this way and that from the X-Strike. Droplets really wants that Genji kill if he can. Stay a while and listen in the Storm Bolt. Everything used to see if they could save Genji's life, but it was not to be had.
That Fury Groundbreaker was enough to help confirm the kill, and now they're looking for more. Indomitable has been used. Fury continuing to try and find somebody that he can do damage to. Zuna goes in, but there's going to be the toss in. King Caffeine ends up using the Storm Bolt, does end up jumping into those roots. There's going to be into the fray for Figgy. The knockback is going to get the kill confirmed onto King Caffeine, and LFM walks away with a favorable trade and still a lot of gems in their pocket.
Yeah, though Phoenix died, they still have enough for the turn-in, despite the fact that he held a majority of LFM's gems, and this has been a very close game, close in kills, close in experience. Even structurally, Simplicity has a lead, but Simplicity have a lot better presence in the lanes. This mid and top especially have been way pushed out. So LFM, if they're going to get something done, if they're going to try to take down the other forts of Simplicity and put the map into their favor, they need to push these out quickly. That top spawns in their base.
The way it's staggered, their defense will be fully focused while Simplicity's here in the mid lane to start. Phoenix still trying to prep that top lane. Time Trap's going to sniff out the flank potential there. This mid lane being cleared up rapidly, should still lose this fort. This is still pretty healthy and a lot of sieging potential here. As we see Northern Exposure picked up there by Jaina. That was a lot of burst damage. Also sitting at about 8,000 damage towards that 15,000. You get that ice block.
It's a major step up for Jaina, who's trying to get the kills from the Ring of Frost combo.
Yeah, I want to bring, oh, hold on. We got to, okay, I thought I heard the
I heard Temporal too.
Yeah. One of the scary things now is that bottom web weaver, they have to basically give that up, because if anybody rotates to that bottom web weaver, especially multiple people, LFM can make a play towards the boss because there's going to be somebody so far away.
Or look at these keep towers too, since the web weaver is still here and Genji is shown. But you're right, they forced the rotation down to the bottom. Only took one. K1 Pro went down there. But it does take out the keep towers down at the bottom and does a little bit of keep pressure.
Oh, but they've got enough gems for another turn in here in a second. If they get another turn in, back to back to back.
Beacon would be proud.
You think he's watching somewhere, just hoping that they don't get it so he could try and be the only back to back to back of anything?
That was so expertly done that no matter what, anybody would be proud. To rotate through the top, down to the bottom. K1 Pro, the only one there. Too scary to stop, and now this is a much different scenario than the last turn-in for LFM, because this time, these lanes are looking pretty red.
LFM's playing for keeps right now. Equinox comes down, gets the bottom lane prepped. That's going to warrant a response here from Simplicity. Things could go from bad to worse if they're not careful. There's going to be some stun, some follow-up damage. Equinox eats quite a bit with the web weaver spawning so far forward. It feels like one keep minimum, two keeps maybe. And if things really spiral out of control, could be worse. But right now, Simplicity doing their best to hold on as the bot keep looking to fall.
That was a Holy Avengers time, if I've ever seen one. Getting 3 with that Avenging Wrath is between that and the zoning of the Fear of Garrosh. Simplicity just had to back out and look to defend, giving up that bottom keep. Now the only one that remains, the web weaver in the top. Simplicity doing what they can to adequately defend versus any free push in the mid. That's crucial. They don't overcommit resources in this top, but with how many minions and web weavers and the slow rotation to this top lane, they are losing out way more than I think they thought they were going to versus LFM here. That is basically another keep down. It's just not catapults, not yet, but it's very easy to take that out.
Yeah, losing one keep was bad enough. Losing a second would be pretty detrimental to your odds of winning. LFM a ways away from a turn-in, but they are much closer to 20. Simplicity does have enough gems for turn-in. With catapults pushing against them in one lane, it will be difficult to find a lot of value on their web weaver push. Again, their sieging potential severely limited with this composition, and now LFM has made their way over to try and defend. See if Simplicity tries to force the action.
Fury has constantly been just tossing and then taunting mid-toss. Fury's the one who will be hit by the combo of Chromie, which is nice because he can't end the fray himself out of that, and that does net Simplicity a kill. But beyond that, things are falling apart. They lose Blaze. K1 Pro, does he have any mobility left? Still has a Swift Strike to run away. Equinox was charging up that Avenging Wrath to see if he can follow suit. But the Giants here with the catapults have pushed this bottom lane, and with 2 down, LFM is pushing in.
Everything there was to save K1 Pro. He managed to pick up some of the gems that were lost by Zuna there on Blaze. With 2 members still down, a Night Camp here pushing in mid. This should be triple keep down on the side of Simplicity, making it incredibly difficult to come back in this. Still no Blaze for several seconds.
No web weavers for Simplicity. None for LFM either, but they've got everything else. Including, they're looking at the boss for the end game.
It's been revealed by Chromie, which it looks like they're going to just try and contest and fight this. I wondered if they might just try and get a turn in. Equinox aggressing forward, 20 still in favor. There's going to be another taunt toss in. King Caffeine gets in the bunker, does get some healing value out of that, hops in the bunker one more time. They're trying to turn this fight. X-Strike comes down.
They're doing a pretty good job of it.
Tranquility, though, has kept him quite alive, but the time loop, the temporal loop, pulls the Aware back in for a kill.
Against all odds, Simplicity get that kill. No 20 at all. But with the positioning there and Avatar being able to go off for King Caffeine, that was crucial, because what has been working for Fury is the throw into taunt and the stun lock. If they can land it to blow up Murden, if not, he gets in. The bunker was there too to save him. And then getting the kill on JK, getting the kill on the Aware is just enough that now Simplicity has a moment where they can get these gems turned in. If they can get web weavers, that would help a lot with their core.
I believe Droplets should still have his Unconquered Spirit. There's going to be another taunt. Cap puts down. He ended up eating another Blizzard there, but put down the healing static enough to keep him alive. There's going to be a stun, the slow, the root, the follow-up. Fury in trouble, somehow surviving, but not for long. That's going to be another takedown, and 20 on the horizon here for Simplicity.
Couple catapults on the core. Simplicity are doing it. They have a few more gems that they can turn in, J-How, and they have made it to 20. And you know, we go back, there were 2 people down, and LFM chose to focus the mid-keep instead of going in, trying to see if they could get any more kills and go for core. These are the kinds of situations we've asked about for LFM. LFM has not been able to win a series yet, sometimes getting great early game leads versus teams like Tempo Storm, like Heroes Hearth Esports. But in this moment, if they end up losing this game now, and it's still a far cry out because they still have all of their keeps, but if they lose this game, I can guarantee you that will be a shaken LFM, because this is such a lead that they would be losing.
Simplicity is going to have to use these web weavers to buy a little bit of real estate in one lane and then force the advantage in one or another. And by forcing the advantage, I mean they're going to have to grab the web weavers, try and dive beyond this, because the catapults will clear these up and it'll speed the process of these web weavers fading out of existence. So they need to prioritize one lane, look for another pick. They have to continue to stagger deaths. They don't have enough gems for another turn in. So they're going to have to fight their way back. There's going to be a stun, the slow self-cleanse there by Urel. Stun's going to miss there from King Caffeine. They need to get at least one keep down. They're well on their way as this top lane, top wall has already fallen.
Well, it just feels like the Garrosh picks on Murden have not been working out the same way, so I wonder if we'll see LFM try to prioritize someone else. For now, it's Simplicity trying to prioritize him as they have the Stay a While and Listen hitting him.
Oh, Equinox has gone in deep. There's the Planet Cracker out in return. The root there from the Ring of Frost, and the toss by Fury, the double toss, is enough to help confirm the kill. Simplicity, they are on the retreat, and this might be enough for LFM to find some pressure on the map in return, as they have held on to all of their keeps. For Simplicity, that is a catastrophic loss, as the boss seems to be the win condition now for LFM.
Excellent patient play from LFM, waiting it out, waiting to see when the bunker would go down, and then from there, being able to get those kills. That's that kind of adaptation that is necessary when the fights start to not go their way, and trying to do that when you're pressured, when you've lost the last game, is of the utmost important for a team to be able to contend versus the top in North America. A lot of people have said that LFM have what it takes. They have the chops. Aware, though, he needs to not go down here. That would be difficult. K1 Pro has been putting
I
the
know
work
it's
in.
3v5, but you have to contest that, right? That's it. It's game over. You do not survive a 22-minute boss here. That's game. I felt they needed to contest that. The stun is going to be nice. The damage is there. But there's no way that boss doesn't take core.
Well, Simplicity are doing what they can to stop it with everyone else left. They don't have Deck or Kane. They're trying to force the fight before the fact, get some kills from that, but the boss on the core is going to be all she wrote. Even with K1 Pro on his newfound Genji, just won't be enough. LFM Esports, congratulations, you get your first series win in Phase 2.
Hard fought for them throughout. Simplicity, a lot of kill potential, but we're going to have to continue to evaluate the macro side, the late game decision making. LFM, it wasn't perfect by any means, but to get their victory, to find it in the manner that they did, led by a lot of what Fury was doing for the initiations, the taunt, the double toss there at the end underneath their keep was so clutch. You knew that Simplicity had to be somewhat aggressive. They were down all of their keeps. Getting one keep would have been fine, but they didn't have another turn in for quite some time. So Simplicity, they took a risk, and it came back to haunt them, and LFM was able to close it out.
Well, I think one thing that people might be underestimating from LFM is that this team came in and clearly had an idea of their identity. They already were a team-fighting team, and then you add Fury, this aggressive warrior, to the equation, and he seems to fit perfectly. It was just a matter of trying to make sure that the follow-up was there, so that when he wanted to get aggressive, that it would be right there with him, so that they could get those picks. And there was still a couple of times when Simplicity was adapting and things were happening, like Avatar was making enough of an impact that King Caffeine could stay alive, or the bunker would be there. But it's very clear and apparent that LFM has come in with an identity, and now, you know, getting this win, this is going to be huge for them, especially because we've been talking about the Crucible later on at the end of the phase, and it's looking like it's going to be some sort of three-way match between LFM, Node Tomorrow, and Simplicity. So this is a very important win for LFM for that. But also, now that they have that off their chest, they have that first win, they can start working on the next level of their gameplay.
Fury's been around a lot of top teams in North America. He knows what it takes to get there. He thinks that they can potentially be a top 4 team, as evidenced by a previous tweet. Every team, every top team that we've spoken to has said nothing but nice things about LFM. So their ceiling, I think, is much higher than meets the eye after their 0-4 start. So a win here definitely shows that they can contend for one of those playoff spots. So it's definitely a bright sign, I think, for them to kind of get this one under their belt. I'm very happy that they're able to do so. For Simplicity, obviously, I don't know if they had the hopes. I think they were still an outside shot of making it to Western Clash. That is all but dashed here. So they'll have to continue to look forward once they do get to potential playoff range and as the season plays out.
It is a tough point for Simplicity. I feel like my main concern for them is that they don't take the morale hit that comes with not being able to contest a Western Clash spot, because we have seen some evidenced growth from this team that made me really excited. You know, winning versus Endemic was such a, for one, wake-up call for Endemic, but also a show that Simplicity has more than meets the eye. And K1 Pro getting back on a ranged role, Zuna obviously putting the work in and doing a great job, improved so much now that he's back on that solo lane. I hope that, during the break, both of these teams, before part 2, can have some ideas of where they have room to grow and can come in and really bring it in the next few weeks of play. And they still have next week too.
Shout out to Equinox, by the way.
Oh,
Coming
yeah.
in, filling in, subbing in. I think he played extremely well. Uriel definitely fits his play style. I think he probably got out. He's like, wait a minute, this hero's fun. If you watch him on his open team, he actually plays, the last one I saw, it was like a tracer game. He likes to play heroes that he knows he can have an impact on. Uriel stepping in here, filling in for Swabs. Swabs, as you had mentioned at the beginning of this series, has been a standout player for this team for some time, but making his name more established since this second phase started. And so for Equinox to come in, fill those shoes that we know Swabs has been able to establish so far, that's got to be a positive sign for LFM to know that they can win with a sub against one of these teams.
Yeah, the reason why I said that too is because not only does it feel like Swabs and Fury do a good job of going back and forth and trying to soak up some of the damage from other teams, but they also have the setup where Fury will get the first setup for a kill, but then Swabs will set up the next one too, and they were working in great conjunction together. And Equinox has played together with Fury before, but it's on a role that he's been kind of back and forth on in his time in HGC, and I didn't know where he was at on his open team, but it suited very well, and it was awesome to get to see the throwback of Fury and Equinox together.
There's so much to talk about in this series. Simplicity's drafting the Genji Chromie. They gave up a lot during that second Webweaver phase, and even more so, you just lack so much, especially when you don't pick Johanna to supplement any type of wave clear. When it becomes a Muradin, for them, I still think, I think it was game 2, I was mentioning that we still need to see the backline of Hosty and K1 Pro find their comfort, find their synergies, find something that works for them. I think King Caffeine is playing great. I think Zuna is playing great. Tiger's filling in the role that he needs to fill. And I'm not saying that K1 and Hosty are doing bad. I just think that draft-wise, I don't think this team's figured it out yet. We're in a very different meta. It's going to continue to evolve now that we've got second ban, or the third ban coming in, but 2 at the front load there, and we've seen a lot of bans on Assassins. I still feel like they're trying to figure out where their damage is coming from. Their synergies and setup hasn't been there. There's been a lot of Hammer. There's been a lot of Chromie. I think it's time to start trying to find some other type of synergy for that back line, because I think the talent is more than there in that back line. They're just not finding the synergy yet.
Well, I think we're still waiting on an LFM player to join us for an interview, but something that when I talked to K1 Pro before, and I said, you're back at range, and Jaina's back at the meta, and that's perfect. And he was like, yeah, it's pretty cool, but I don't think that I'm going to be playing her. And he said, because of the roles that we're still trying to figure out, it's more likely to be Hosty on that. So I think they are still figuring that out, and that has a lot of credence in trying to figure out who is going to be playing what on the range. And I think that's what a lot of teams are still doing. Tempo Storm with Vin and Fan, different situation, definitely, but kind of the same because K1 Pro is role swapping back onto his role. So it's going to take some time when you have somebody newer to the role or newer to the team while you puzzle out those differences, those intricacies of how the hero pulls are going to work and who plays what better and what synergizes with what when you play that.
I think a lot of it comes down to, this is a very easy thing to do, the simple copy pasta of just looking around the league, looking at some of the other regions, seeing what they're drafting. Instead of, obviously we know Genji Chromia is a very EU special type thing, and it's been popular on Tomb and Dragonshire, and they run that. The Genji, I think, is fine. The Genji Greymane, I think, not playing around the Hanzo, and when they have the Hanzo, it seems like the drafts are a little bit off, and I want to find something for that team that just establishes meta control, play that style. Instead of, it's like they're mixing parts. It's like the Frankenstein combos of like, I think this can work and I think this can work. Instead of just, well, here's a nice, perfectly constructed figurine that you can just place in here. Like, this is the puzzle, just use this. And they're figuring it out. It's just, it's coming at a cost right now.
Oh, here we go. I think we have Fury on the phone and ready to join us for LFM's first winners interview. Congratulations, Fury. How you guys feeling right now?
Feeling pretty good. Got our first win on the board, so, that always feels good to start off.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, you guys have you've been receiving a lot of commendations from other teams. You look at some of your early games, especially versus teams like Tempo and Heroes Hearth, and you guys have been able to come in and come into the game swinging. And what do you feel like it is that has been making a difference for you guys that you're able to get the win here versus Simplicity?
I think our previous series we pretty much dominated like our early and mid game. It's just our late game was kind of needs improving. But I think this series Simplicity did a good job in mid game and kind of punished us. And a lot of times we were actually playing from behind this whole series, but we managed to clutch it out late game. So I don't know where the consistency is. We're just swapping back and forth. We're a mid game or a late game team, but.
Well, for you to come in on this team now, it's awesome the level of aggression that you've been able to bring. Something that we've been talking about a lot is you're in there, you're leading the charge, and then the follow-up, watching as this team grows around you and with you. How has it been transitioning now to LFM and throughout this phase so far?
Yeah, I think this team really synergizes with my aggressive playstyle. So as you can see, when I like playing Murden, just jumping in, I have either a Li Ming combo or like whoever's my range damage, they usually follow up on my CC. So that definitely helps out a lot that like our team comp like, works together.
What does this first win mean to you guys now? Is it more relieving, or is it something that you feel like you always had in your pockets and now it's just there and you can keep going off of that?
Well, now with the Western Class Dream dead, we just look to focus on BlizzCon standing. So we're trying to bump ourselves up to sixth place at least to, be in the playoffs and out of Crucible range. So getting this win is really important for the long game, and I think that's what we're playing for.
Well, awesome to hear. I'll send you over to J-Howe for more questions.
Well, let's
Thanks.
follow up on that, Fury, because you had put out the tweet that you believe that you guys are a top 4 team. And as Gilly had mentioned, a lot of teams have spoken very highly of LFM. Going forward, do you still believe that you can achieve that? Obviously, you're fighting just to get into the playoff range, but do you still see yourself as one of those top teams? And what's it going to take to get there?
Yeah, I definitely believe we can, show up with the other big titans of the NA. I think we're a little off from Tempo and HHE, but I think in our series versus them, we showed that we have life in this team and we can actually, like, if we close out the games versus them, they were actually really close in that series versus them. So I think given more time, which shown here, like we finally got our first win series, it's just like the stepping stones. Like now we can actually close out games and hold our wins, and then we're just going to look to keep improving and keep trying to get more series wins.
Well, obviously, we've seen the second ban phase or the third ban come in this weekend. Saw first ban Johanna, first rotation Murden. Does it feel different from a Warrior perspective? We know you have one of the deeper hero pools, but does it feel different now that we've got this third ban implemented? Obviously, you guys have been practicing, but now in a live environment, does it feel different?
Yeah, it definitely feels different. I think that this series versus Simplicity, the third ban actually helped a lot, mainly to focus on Hosty, if you guys notice in draft, because I think Hosty is a fantastic player, and obviously we have to respect the hammer. And so we just abused the extra ban, just getting rid of Hosty's player or his pool. But yeah, in terms of Warrior, I think, every meta kind of works for me. So I can play any warrior. It's just, yeah, right now, Johanna and Murden and like a little bit of Diablo are the top warriors that everyone picks.
Well, I was asking about the Warrior. You gave us a little bit of insight into your own ban strategy, which seemed to work out today. So, Fury, thanks for sharing that bit of information, and congrats on the win today.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, Fury, you guys have one more series left this weekend, and it's versus Team Freedom. How are you guys feeling about that one?
I think we're feeling pretty good, especially, going off this series as a win. So we're going to look to just carry the momentum into our next series. Team Freedom does look strong. I think they are still a really good team. So we definitely, we can't sleep on them, and we just have to try as hard as we did today versus Team Freedom.
And of course, your final series will be versus No Tomorrow. So 2 very important but awesome matches coming up for you guys. Congratulations again on you guys' first series win. I know it's been a long time coming, feeling that way for you guys. Before you go, do you have any shout-outs?
Yeah, of course. Shout out to my team, LFM, the whole rosters, our coach, Hero, the owner, Steve. Shout outs to Twitch chat. You guys are awesome. Shout out to you guys for casting these awesome games. This is the first time I get to be on an interview, so shout out to everyone. And yeah, that's about it.
Well, hopefully we'll have you back. Thanks for joining us. Congrats again.
Yep. Thank you so much.
It's awesome to see LFM be able to get that first win. I know it's looking forward, being able to avoid the Crucible. It's a scary place to be for any team, but also being able to contest with some of those teams and try your hand at going to BlizzCon.
Fury increases the odds. No matter what team that he's on, the amount of playmaking that he could potentially go. That's why I think the matchup against Team Freedom is actually a bit more intriguing. The one thing that Team Freedom, depending on their drafts, which continue to vary, The one thing that they struggle with sometimes is that in-your-face pressure, and Fury probably brings it about as much as anybody. But we know that Zugrug likes the Muradin, so does Fury. We'll see who gets their hand on him in that series. So I think that is winnable for them. Very difficult because Team Freedom is so good, though.
I was going to say, as long as you follow the cardinal rule, don't fall behind early game versus Team Freedom. Tomorrow, guys, it's here. Get pumped, because in NA, Heroes Hearth and Tempo Storm is the series to close out the day. But of course, there's a lot going on, Jay Howe.
Yeah, because we're going to start our day in Europe, where we have Method versus Leftovers. If you haven't seen Leftovers yet, if you're an NA fan, check that guy DAB out. He is a beast on Leftovers as they try and continue their chase for the Western Clash. And then we get two names, the rivalry that we've known for so long, looking a little different now.
Oh,
Fnatic's taking on Team Dignitas.
A whole lot different, but Fnatic keeping their hopes alive for the Clash are going to have to keep that momentum going, and that's a tough order versus the undefeated Team Dignitas. Before Heroes Hearth and Tempo Storm, no, tomorrow will go up against Team Octalysis. Octalysis need every win and 0 losses now because they fell to Endemic. It kind of goes just like we saw with Endemic earlier on. They need to get every game they possibly can if they're going to have any case of being able to go to the Western Clash.
They've got it within them. They, no doubt, they have taken every top team in some close series. Obviously, Heroes Hearth, a very strong one there. But going up against Tempo, going up against Team Freedom, going up against Endemic, it is not without a little bit of drama because they have fought well in every single one of their series. It's just they've come up in some, and they have it there. Obviously, no tomorrow. We look at that as a winnable series, but it's not just winnable. They need a 3-0 to continue because before the tiebreaker, it comes to that plus-minus, and for them, every single win is important, but the series win comes first. 3-0, very important for them tomorrow, and I think they know that.
Well, Team Dignitas, Fnatic, and Heroes Hearth Esports versus Tempo Storm. It is not a day to miss, so don't do it. We'll see you tomorrow for more Heroes of the Storm action. Good night.
LFM, they're coming in. They have their turret. Falstad's made his way back down. It's time for a fight. See who can win this one.
Well, there's the battle, and the stun lock hits on Zuna. Gust separates him away, but a lot of it too is to separate King Caffeine, who just takes a bunch of damage and can't go anywhere between that Dragon's Arrow and the Jet Propulsion. Now Tiger JK, he's used just about everything with that Twilight Dream coming out.
It's captured here for LFM. 10, however, for Simplicity. Very, very close. There's going to be a stun. Hosty getting a little bit of clutch healing.
Oh my. That was roots on 2 people, Li Ming and Muradin. Dragon Knight.
Fury coming in, King Caffeine with the save. K1 knew that the follow-up from Figgy has been on point throughout this, forced to use X-Strike there. There's going to be Caffeine taking so much damage, and Fury comes in with the Stormbolt, able to get the kill. Avatar is out, trying to bring the pain. There's going to be Tiger J coming in with the Astral Communion. Going to dodge that, but Droplet still bringing the pain here as he comes in with a play of the game of his own. Hosty trying to trade out. 3 members down on the side of Simplicity. Make it 4. Dragon out as well as the Odin. 2 great controls over this.
Jet Propulsion and the power side. Dragon's Arrow hits 3. Figgy is the one I'm immediately concerned about, but with the bunker there, he'll get through a lot of that. Fury thrown to the wolves from the concussion mine as he's the one who comes out of that bunker, and that is not where LFM wants to be. Now 1 person down, uses the Life Binder. No Dragon Queen, no Odin. A lot of things gone, but still hanging in, hoping that they can get this shrine. Zuna jumps forward with the Ardent Defender, separating Equinox away from the rest, and 2nd kill for Simplicity.
Really limited with this composition, and now LFM has made their way over to try and defend. See if Simplicity tries to force the action.
Fury has constantly been just tossing and then taunting mid-toss. Fury's the one who will be hit by the combo of Chromie, which is nice because he can't end the fray himself out of that. And that does net Simplicity a kill. But beyond that, things are falling apart. They lose Blaze. K1 Pro, does he have any mobility left?
Forward 20 still in favor. There's going to be another taunt toss in. King Caffeine gets in the bunker, does get some healing value out of that, hops in the bunker one more time. They're trying to turn this fight. X-Strike comes down.
They're doing a pretty good job of it.
Tranquility, though, has kept him quite alive, but the time loop, the temporal loop, pulls the Aware back in for a kill. I believe Droplets should still have his Unconquered Spirit. There's going to be another taunt. Cap puts down, he ended up eating another blizzard there, but put down the healing static enough to keep him alive. There's going to be a stun to slow the root, the follow-up. Fury in trouble, somehow surviving, but not for long. That's going to be another takedown, and 20 on the horizon here for Simplicity.
And I've not been working out the same way, so I wonder if we'll see LFM try to prioritize someone else. For now, it's Simplicity trying to prioritize him as they have the Stay a While and Listen hitting him.
Oh, Equinox has gone in deep. There's the Planet Cracker out in return. The root there from the Ring of Frost, and the toss by Fury, the double toss, is enough to help confirm the kill. Simplicity, they are on the retreat, and this might be enough